The Vatican Museums displays an amazing array of inspiring works from the immense collection built up by the popes throughout the centuries, including some of the most renowned classical sculptures and most important masterpieces of the Renaissance art period. Over the past decade, the Vatican Museums has repeatedly faced restoration problems regarding rare paintings, sculptures, and tapestries. The most recent restoration completed by the Ohio chapter was the Gallery of the Candelabra, which took 3 years from 2013 through 2016 to complete. Today we will walk you through the intricate process of restoration at the gallery and give you a sneak peek into the challenging and tedious work accomplished by the museum's specially trained art restoration staff. In 2013, we saw a decline in the gallery's structural and decorative plans, a loss of cohesion of the wooden fibers in the framework trusses, deep cracks in some of the vaulting, and numerous detachments of plaster and stucco elements. The opacity of monochrome paint layers also displayed serious surface flaking and loss, along with accentuated degradation of the polychrome areas. Shrinkages and loss of gilding on stucco elements and on wall painting decorations. Everything denoted slippage and lifting of the current decorations as contrasted of that of the past. The primary cause of the damage was related to water seepage due to the total absence of waterproofing for the roof. In addition, global warming in recent years has exacerbated the climate balance inside the gallery due to the 18 windows that overlook both east and west. Such instability is accentuated in the day-night cycle due to the constant influx of visitors, which has increased dramatically. This area is traversed by anyone who enters the Vatican Museum, since it is the main route to the Sistine Chapel. Furthermore, the use of adhesives, fixatives, or pigments during previous restorations have created a serious shrinking effect for alteration. The Gallery of the Candelabra is located on the second floor of the west wing of the Pinecone Courtyard. The different types of vaulting are made of bricks, which are laid flat or vertically and covered by a roof supported by 20 wooden framework trusses. Given the delicacy of the various overlapping of the decorative plan based on the painting techniques, it was important to perform a restoration as non-invasive as possible. All of this was preceded by the installation of the roof, the reinforced slating of wooden framework trusses, and by the application of carbon fiber bands on the outside back of the wall structure. To intervene on the climate atmosphere, special fabric curtains were applied to the windows as a filtering effect, and a new LED cold lighting system was installed. The fragility of the decorative plan prompted typical methods and measures of conservation, relating that of easel painting rather than murals. The monochromatic texture became stained when it came in contact with any other substance. This prevented being able to work with non-soft materials. Different types of sponges for dry cleaning were examined, which would ensure preservation of the integrity of the surface without leaving residue, and were not composed of organic compounds, which might prove hazardous for the work. The decided solution involves sponges used for women's makeup, which have shown excellent results. To repair the uneven or raised pigments, consolidating agents and adhesives were researched to guarantee stability under microclimatic conditions, good capacity penetration, and absence of color alteration of the underlying pigments that would easily allow for subsequent retouching. The polychrome scenes, due to the hydrogenized techniques, were sometimes impervious to adhesives, while others were totally unstable because they were found on disrupted surfaces. The gilding was often shrunk, assuming a stiffness that was difficult to soften. As the adhesion was identified, an acrylic emulsion was applied that could maintain its elasticity, even under thermal stress. A system so delicate required a preventive protection every time a sealing or plaster consolidation was done. More serious gaps called for a shoring system. For filling the numerous micro gaps and gilding on plaster, it was necessary to identify a compound which would fill in with just one brush application, fulfilling the operations of protection, grouting, shaping, and chromatic reintegration. For the reintegration of the monochrome damaged by water infiltration, water-based paint was chosen after several tests, thus guaranteeing visual and aesthetic characteristics similar to those of the original paintings. The reintegration of the scenes in medium-rich tempera paint also involved the identification of a resin paint that would ensure chromatic and physical stability. All in all, 7 restorers worked for over 3,700 hours. And while their heads were continually looking upward, 100 samples had been analyzed among 20 tested materials, and 4 phases of construction called for the placement of the scaffolding in various locations. This resulted in protecting or removing, one at a time, some of the 300 sculptures on display within the site, all the while permitting the public to use the hallway gallery. It is the mission of the Vatican Museums today to preserve and share this extraordinary legacy of culture, history, and beauty that the Roman pontiffs have collected and preserved for centuries and will continue to preserve for future generations.